Steve Robbins here. Welcome to the Get It Done Guy's quick and dirty tips to work less and do more. As longtime listeners of Get It Done Guy know, most of my episodes deal with charming, lighthearted topics, like frolicking in the meadow with bunnies during the zombie apocalypse. Today's topic, however, is serious. Nothing can overwhelm your life like becoming a caretaker. Two of my close friends are caretakers for relatives with life-threatening illnesses. Several years ago, I cared for my mother as she battled cancer. And in between the traditional stages of anger, denial, depression, bargaining, and acceptance, I did take the time to keep a learning log. Yes, I'm that geeky. This week, I will share some important tips on logistical support for tough times so that you can save time, emotion, and maybe even a life. Michael and Jeff, this one's for you. Tip number 1, get a sitter. When a serious illness hits, you'll discover depths of yourself you have never known before. You thought working at In-N-Out Chicken Mart as a teenager was stressful? Think again. Your first move is to build a support system so that you can get enough sleep and take care of yourself in order to be there for your loved one. If your husband, wife, spousal equivalent, or polyamorous family unit is bedridden, your first step is to get a sitter. Sitters are nurses or nurses' aides who you hire privately, and they're qualified to help. They can dispense medication, they can help someone to the bathroom, and sometimes even cook. If possible, get someone to take over at least 12 of the 24 hours in the day so that you can get a good night's sleep for yourself, have some time to plan strategy, and of course the chance to go to your job and deal with the rest of your life. Tip number 2, find someone with their own equipment. Ask your doctor or your hospital for a list of home nursing agencies. We used an agency because they pre-screened their sitter list, freeing us from needing to check references, etc. A professional sitter may even bring his or her own equipment. A stool for the bathtub, rubber gloves, and so on. Ask beforehand what they'll bring and what they expect you to supply. Make sure they're fully supplied so that they can start working immediately. Tip number 3 is make sure you have full time coverage. Despite their invisibility powers and vulnerability in X-ray vision, sitters are not superhuman. They can't work 7 days a week without burning out. Make up a full weekly schedule and note the times the sitter will be there, when you'll be there, and notice the gaps when you'll still need coverage. Hire a backup sitter to cover the gaps. Your backup will also be useful for the times when your regular sitter can't make it. If sitter Alex will, quote, take evenings, unquote, clarify whether that means all evenings or weekdays only. If it's weekdays only, you will need weekend coverage. Disease, alas, doesn't take Sunday off. Tip number 4 is be prepared to pay out of pocket. Sitters are way less expensive than home nurses when full nursing care isn't needed. And even though good home care does reduce the need for hospitalization, our insurance company only reimbursed for hospitalization. We had to pay the sitters out of our own pocket. You know that super valuable comic book collection you've been keeping since you were 8? Now's the time to sell it. Even at a low hourly rate, it added up, but it was worth it. I don't know if I would have survived the experience without the sitters' help. Now, I know those of you in countries with decent national health system are gasping in horror at the very idea of what it must be like to be an American needing health care. But our system does do something yours doesn't. It gives us incentive to finally do something with all those comic books we've been accumulating our whole life long. If you can't afford a full-time professional sitter, try using a professional sitter a couple of hours each day for medications and for the more difficult tasks. Lean on a network of friends or relatives to be there at night or for small things like water and trips to the bathroom. Everyone will offer to help. Most of them won't want to be taken up on it. Take them up on it. Trust me. Tip number 5, get a baby monitor. We couldn't afford full-time coverage, so we got a baby monitor to leave with my mother. We could go elsewhere in the house, and if she needed anything, all she had to do was speak up and we would be right there. Tip number 6, arrange for meals. I don't cook. I never quite learned how, and that's why I survive completely on a diet of organic corn chips, Subway veggie patty sandwiches, and kale-wrapped Twinkies. Yum! I can hear your jaws dropping in envy. Unfortunately, your loved ones may not be as thrilled with kale-wrapped Twinkies. If you can't cook or if you can't deal with cooking, make sure one of the sitters can cook or arrange for meals to be delivered. If you live in one of the few areas that hasn't been completely overrun by national chains, you might be able to work with the owner of a local restaurant to get regularly prepared meals. I tried to learn to cook while taking care of my mother, but I realized that was not the time to acquire a new labor-intensive skill. Tip number 7 is to plan with your sitter. When you're making your schedules, make sure the sitter's hours overlap your waking hours. Use the overlap time to plan the next week with the sitter. Plan out a daily medication schedule, a daily meal plan, a shopping list, and a daily chore plan. This will save you oodles and oodles of stress. Otherwise, everything comes up at the last minute and you're constantly running around coping with all the details. I hope you never, ever, ever, ever need the information in today's podcast. I hope you live forever and your loved ones live forever and have lives full of health and love and laughter. But if you find yourself taking care of someone with a serious illness, take care of yourself by building a support system that relieves the pressure on you. Get a sitter or at least a baby monitor and make sure you have 24/7 coverage. Arrange for food preparation and create a weekly medication cooking, chores, and shopping plan. Take good care of yourself and your loved one. I'll be back next week with an episode on how to manage treatment and medication. This is Steve Robbins. You can find this episode's transcript and hundreds of others at getitdone.quickanddirtytips.com. I help successful business people create strategies that grow their bottom line by creating systems that support you so you can spend your time concentrating on where you can make the most valuable contribution. If you want to know more, visit steverobbins.com. That's SteverRobbins.com. Work less, do more, and have a great life.